within the confines of the university, you could say, we started up this collaboration. And this collaboration became bigger and bigger and bigger. And we offer the best possible tool to memorize facts. It should be about insights. I don't recall my teacher talking about boring little details. I recall about the passionate stories that they were telling. And that's what I would like to do. 2 million students every day use our tool. I would very much like to see it expand to all possible markets. Sometimes it's difficult because going to another country also means different educational norms.
Welcome back at another episode of the Startup Passport by Econsulate. Today we're joined by Hedderik van Rijn. You are the founder of MemoryLab. Thank you very much for joining. Next to that, you're also still a professor. Start off with a very basic but still broad question. What do you think makes a good professor?
Oh, the same thing that makes a good entrepreneur, passion. The thing that I want to relay to my students is sort of like how amazing the human brain is, how we can process information without any effort. I'm speaking sentences. How does my brain do that? I like trying to explain that to my students.
And you have been, I assume you have been a professor before you became an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I started out in academia, and by means of the research that I did together with my students, we developed methods that eventually led to two spin-offs.
And can you let us in a little bit about how the process was from you starting MemoryLab and why that even occurred that you thought that is something that I want to invest my time in?
Well, in hindsight, you can always make these amazing stories, but in I think, like in many cases, it's sort of like an accidental path. A student came in at one point saying that he wanted to do something with education and memory models. And then we started working on that and the results were interesting. And then another student who did a project with mine then started working at the publishing house. And that publishing house was looking for an algorithm that could help their students, the pupils, sort of like the high school kids in the Netherlands, learn better. And they connected us. And that's sort of like how back then, just within the confines of the university, you could say, we started up this collaboration. And this collaboration became bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point, the university, in a way, indicated, well, it's now so much, you probably should make this into a spin-out.
And what exactly is it that MemoryLab offers then at this current moment?
We offer the best possible tool to memorize facts, to memorize sort of like the simple, basic information. You could say the atoms that are underlying the idea, the understanding, vocabulary, toponyms, definitions in biology, facts in history, in art, in whatever context. And we make sure that people can learn that in the best possible way so that teachers, during their sort of like the expensive hours in the classroom, can focus on the thing that I referred to before, relaying passion. It should not be about stupid facts. It should be about insights. I don't recall my teacher talking about boring little details. I recall about the passionate stories that they were telling. And that's what I would like to do.
And is a goal of the company also to incorporate what you're doing right now with the company, to incorporate that directly into schools or directly work with them closer together, schools, universities, so that this is already there where all the students are, so they don't necessarily need to find you first to focus on the things that you just mentioned, on passion, on not only on focusing the aspects that they have to memorize.
Exactly. And that's why we collaborate preferably with these big publishing houses. So in the Netherlands with Noordhof, for example. The great thing about working together with such a publishing house is that immediately you reach like a third of all Dutch high school kids. So everyone who learns with an online method of one of the publishing houses that we collaborate with is using our algorithms. And that's just amazing. 2 million students every day use our tool.
And these tools are evidence-based?
Completely evidence-based. Yeah.
How was the evidence initially gathered and then turned into the solution technology that you have right now?
Yeah, so we started out with taking these memory models that we know from cognitive psychology. So back in the days, people started thinking about, okay, can we do lab experiments that show how memory works? And these were always very much lab-based, artificial studies. And at some point, we started using these artificial studies and generalizing them to something that could be used in the classroom. And we've been testing that in classroom settings, and it turned out that it actually works very elegantly. If you study with these cognitive psychology-based MemoryLab tools, or slim stampen, how it's called in Dutch, you get 10 to 20% higher grade on an exam the next day. So in Dutch grade points, that's a full grade point higher.
And is there a point, because you have that background with being a professor yourself? Is there a point where you feel like it's a pity in a sense that this is not already implemented, or that it's just like kind of external, and you can have like you see the impact, but it could still be much bigger if if those things were already implemented, and if not you had to come up with all of that first, and then work with the publishers that you have been saying, because being a professor you probably are exposed to those things quite often.
Yeah, so I would love every kid in the world to have access to these kinds of tools, preferably to mine, but there are many other sort of like similar tools. And it's in a way a shame that on the one hand, education tries to improve all the time, but we also sort of like sometimes take, I would say, roads that might not be the most optimal ones. There are short and simple and smart solutions that can really help. And I do find it a shame that it's not universally used yet, but that we indeed need to collaborate with publishing houses.
And what is needed for you to scale the company even more? If I'm not mistaken, there's also been a expansion or collaboration with the University of Washington.
Oh yeah, we have a collaboration with the University of Washington. We work together with one of the biggest publishers in Switzerland. So we have international collaborations. I would very much like to see it expand to all possible markets, all possible worlds. For the one hand, of course, because that's great from the company perspective, but also just because it's a tool that works. I want to see it in the hands of as many kids as possible. And it sometimes is difficult because going to another country also means different educational norms. You mentioned the US. In the US, certain privacy rules might be less strict, but the insurance claims are much different. So moving to a different country, even though a SaaS solution, as we offer, might be very easily moving to a different country because it's just sort of like addressing something over the internet, there is quite a bit of administration that needs to be taken into account when moving countries.
And we have 3 more questions. We always say it's 3 quick questions and 3 quick answers.
Mm-hmm.
My students would describe me as
passionate.
This might be a little hard. It's kind of choosing between your kids, maybe. Being an entrepreneur or being a professor.
Oi. Do I get one pass?
You can use a pass, yeah. And in 5 years' time, I would like MemoryLab to
be the major tool that kids use to learn facts all in Europe.
And how are you yourself distributing your time right now between being a professor and taking care of MemoryLab?
I've got 2 full-time jobs.
2 full-time jobs. Will be very interesting to follow. Thank you very much for the very interesting insights on MemoryLab and being a professor, and good luck on the rest of the journey, and thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much.